Alright, so today we're going to speak about genetic engineering. Now, a lot of fans of Alex Jones know about the spider goats, which are real. They were covered by CNN in 1999. The military had engineered goats with spider genes so that their milk came out as silk. Because silk is, the spider silk is very resilient and very flexible and could be used as body armor. Now, what else do you think the military, like DARPA, would do with the ability to genetically engineer beings to that level where they can literally create a spider goat? Well, genetically engineered soldiers and genetically engineered people with very high IQs. Because if you're fighting geopolitical battles, you know that knowledge is power, and that your high performance soldiers, your black ops guys, are some of your most valuable assets. Let's start with the intelligence. We know that China already has a public operation where they're genetically engineering people with very high IQs through selective genetic manipulation. But you have to know that for the past 25, 30 years, that DARPA has been experimenting with genetically engineering human beings because if you're going to win in geopolitical battles, you need to have the smartest people possible, the smartest analysts. If China had genetically engineered geopolitical analysts with IQs of like 180 and 200, and America did not, and Russia had it, and a bunch of other major powers had it, America would fall. And also, the globalists want the most power possible. The only issue, though, is the globalists would probably be genetically engineering their children to have higher IQs, but I don't know where's the. I don't have evidence of that, but I haven't looked for it. It's something that I know that's going on, but it's like, where do I look for the evidence? Because it's all classified, right? We're living in a matrix. There's so much going on behind the scenes that we don't know. Like CNN covered, a microwave based attack in Russia. A CIA operative got attacked through a microwave weapon, a remote microwave weapon that caused him to get really sick and messed him up his health forever. Alex Jones used to talk about those microwave weapons 20 years ago. Um, and the CNN reporter was like, the American military is baffled by this and is trying to figure out what this type of technology, the type of technology they used is, and what they could do to reverse the damage. Oh, come on, DARPA was the first to develop that technology. You know that $2.3 trillion that went missing from the Pentagon, and all of a sudden got lost after 9/11 because the plane went right into the section of the Pentagon where they do the accounting. We forgot about the $2.3 trillion. It actually turned out to be more that the Pentagon lost. Where would it go? It went into DARPA. Okay, we have a scientific technological elite that Eisenhower warned us about. Eisenhower warned us about one, the military-industrial complex, but if you read his entire speech, also a scientific technological elite. So the globalists, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, these very wealthy noble families, they use they know that science and information, that's one of the biggest things when it comes to power. So they are at the spearhead of science. They are like 40 years ahead of us in terms of technology. Okay? Like 40 years ago, they had stuff parallel to an iPhone. Okay? They're always far ahead of us because they spend trillions of dollars in research so that they're ahead of every other nation. If they didn't, then someone like Russia or China could outpace us through superior technology by manipulating us. That could attack us in ways that we wouldn't even understand the ways they were attacking us. I mean, in the 1960s, the CIA heart attack gun was discovered. In the 1960s, the CIA developed a gun where it shot, where it was completely unnoticeable, where a little bit of poison was inside ice and would shoot, and you would barely feel like a mosquito bite or something, and the person would later have a heart attack, and the poison was untraceable, so it would be written off as natural causes. So if the CIA wanted, they could have Trump have a heart attack, but perhaps because he's an elite and he's considered among the elite, they have that old tradition, just like Napoleon. When Napoleon lost, they didn't execute him. The first time they sent him to an island with 500 men, and then he went on a rampage again. Then they sent him to an island with 5 guys after he disregarded the peace treaty that was made after his defeat. Elites don't kill the elites. Kings don't kill the kings. It sets a bad example. But, at the same time, you have to wonder, is Trump part of the whole establishment plan? He might know or might not know that he's actually just a part of the whole process of polarizing the country between right and left. Trump was a great president, very effective with his policies. I loved his policies. But when it came to bringing America together, he was very bad at it. He was a polarizing figure. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but a true American leader would bring the left and right together. He would communicate with the left. He would talk to real leftists, what I call real leftists, like Glenn Greenwald and Jimmy Dore, about real issues, and have the ability to, I don't know, pursue some sane leftist policies like legalizing marijuana at the federal level. Trump should have done that day one in office to win over some more independent voters, some more of the independent thinking leftists. I mean, Jimmy Dore doesn't hate Trump, and Glenn Greenwald doesn't hate Trump either, because they're anti-military industrial complex. They're against the intelligence agencies. They're against tyranny. They're against the deep state. They're against the shadow government. So real leftists don't hate Trump, and he could have won them over a great deal more if he would just pursued some more of the good leftist policies. I think decriminalizing drugs would be too far for a Republican president, but it's something he could have pushed for. Is because Oregon's already doing it. Portugal did it in 2001. Decriminalizing possession of drugs doesn't mean that you can just be out in the streets using drugs. You're still. I'm going off on a complete tangent here. I'm supposed to be talking about conspiracy theories. Anyway, so I'll get into that in another video. Regardless, it's hard to know what's really going on. And Alex Jones now, he's not like he used to be. He spit out a car whole fact. He was like a machine gun of facts, like bam, 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 bam. And he would have all the documents to back everything up. And you could just, every 5 seconds, you had to pause it and look up new documents. You'd find a declassified government document or a news article that was like buried under all the other news articles that was actually done by real journalists that uncovered something incredibly fucked up, like the spider yotes and the genetically engineered mice that can run 10 times long. It had endurance of running, being able to run 10 times longer. They ran faster. They lived longer. So yeah, the Pepsi KC mice. Everything I mentioned in this video, I will link down below. I have the documents. Check out the documents. You have to read them. You have to know what's going on, guys. If you want to beat the tyranny, you have to be educated, alright? Thomas Jefferson said, educate the whole of the masses. That's the only way to defeat tyranny. Educate the whole of the masses. But honestly, I don't know. It might be too late at this point. I mean, we could have, if people would have, if older generations fucked us over. Because if they would have passed that, if they would have given a copy of None Dare Call Conspiracy to every single American back when it was first published, then we might have had a chance of turning things around. It's so late now into the game, and the scientific technological elite have such advanced scientific technology and different ways to attack human beings that present a problem and they're so far ahead of us that it's like, can we actually beat them? It's hard to say. I don't know. Part of me thinks this is just a simulation, like Nick Bostrom says. Simulation theory. Basically, the simulation argument. You can go to simulationargument.com and read Nick Bostrom's argument. I'll link to that below as well. The idea is that in the future, will there be simulations that are real as real life? Of course. How many will there be? Well, you look at video games, there's millions of them. And there's millions of simulations going on right now. So in the future, there'll be millions of simulations. There will be more simulations than base reality. What we consider base reality, the organic reality created out of matter, not created out of terabytes or whatever. So it's more likely we're in a Matrix type situation, but not necessarily, not like the machines are using us as batteries or whatever, anything like that. But human beings could have progressed past the technological singularity, and we could be in a simulation that's designed for character building, where we have to overcome difficulties and challenges in order to make us fully human. Because if we had a really good society without corruption, and it wasn't as crazy and insane as this, and we reached a high level of technological development, you could create an environment where human beings had no suffering whatsoever. There was no challenges. If you're upset, you could say, um, to the nanotechnology in your bloodstream and in your brain. Turn up the serotonin, turn up dopamine, and you can just feel good all the time. And any problem you had, you could have the AI solve it. AI would be godlike in its power, and if it will be eventually. AI could be godlike in its power because it'll have the more critical thinking skills than a human being, and the ability to process information a trillion times faster. That's an understatement. It'll be more than a trillion times faster than a human being. So imagine like if Leonardo da Vinci, Einstein, and Elon Musk and all the greatest geniuses in the world were combined into one person. Their IQ was 1,000, and they also had the ability to process information a trillion times faster. That's basically what advanced AI will be like. It'll be able to do anything. Um, would you raise new human beings in an environment where there's no suffering, no challenges? No, because human beings cannot exist in an environment without challenges. We are built to overcome adversity. So if we don't grow up in an environment and we're not born into an environment with adversity, we don't develop real character. We don't understand what pain and suffering really is about. We don't know what human existence truly is. We can't empathize with other beings. Um, so, in the future, human beings will be born into a simulation. And that's my idea, is that this is a character building simulation, and after it's done, we'll be either brought into base reality or we'll be able to choose to go into any other simulation that we want. That's what I want anyway. I would like to think that after this is done, I'll be able to go into a simulation where I go back to where I'm freshman year of high school and do everything over again and actually live up to my potential, because I haven't lived up to my potential in this reality because I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have proper guidance, I didn't have proper advice. I made so many mistakes in my life, and I haven't been able to live up to my true potential. Like I could have been someone really. I believe I could accomplish a lot of great things with the right guidance. You know, with the right guidance. If I chose the right college major, if I would have pursued psychology or education, become a professor of education, I could have helped, initiate a paradigm shift in education where we had students actually learning how to read, write, and speak articulately, how to debate, learn how to evaluate the logical validity of arguments, how to analyze evidence, and how to make their own arguments and come to their own conclusions, and have students analyze opposing points of view on different uh, controversial topics and then debate each other, and that's how they would develop critical thinking skills. The only way to develop critical thinking skills in the education system today is if you're into the debate team, if you're in mock trial, or you go to law school. Those are the only areas where you're forced to present an argument and someone counters that argument with logic and evidence, and then you have to come back with counter their counter argument, and you go back and forth, and someone evaluates the logical validity, the strength of your argument, and the relevance of your evidence, and that's the only way you develop the ability to critically think with debate and learning logic. We don't teach students logic. We don't teach them cognitive biases that are like groupthink, confirmation bias, and how to avoid those cognitive biases, um, and how to instead try to prove your own positions incorrect by debating people who are more intelligent and more informed than you on specific topics to see if your current conclusion regarding a specific issue is correct, or if it's completely wrong, or if maybe it just needs some revision, needs more nuance. Usually, what I find is after I've like it's like a diamond. You have to, your conclusion about an issue. It starts off as a piece of coal, and you have to work it and work it and work it, and the pressure builds a diamond by attacking the art. You by coming to a conclusion after looking at a bunch of different opposing viewpoints and using logic and the analysis of evidence to come to a conclusion. You then voice your conclusion to other people. They tear apart your argument. You rebuild it. You rebuild it. You rebuild it. You see if you're completely wrong or slightly wrong. Eventually, you're mostly correct, but you need more and more nuance. The more you debate people with that argument, the more nuance you add to it, the more you find out about the particulars, the more evidence you discover, the more you understand the counter arguments, the other positions people have. So that's how you develop a worldview that evolves over time and is accurate. Hopefully, as long as you're not actually operating completely oblivious to the fact that all your decision making and all your ideas are all being manipulated by cognitive biases to the extent that you can't even think logically. But I don't think that's true, because when I talk to people about with conclusions that I have a strong, there's just so much that proves that my conclusions about issues are true. When I debate other people, especially the fact that when I debate people very high in openness and I make my argument, a lot of times they change their mind and see that I'm right because all the evidence is there. I mean, take gun control for example. I mean, you look at all the studies and look at the meta studies, which are studies of studies. CDC and National Academy of Sciences both looked at hundreds of studies, hundreds of government documents, um, hundreds of peer-reviewed studies, and then looked at all the available evidence for years, like 10 decades, like these statisticians to study every single piece of literature they could find on gun control, looking for the statistical data on it. And neither the National Academy of Sciences nor the CDC could find a single gun control measure that reduced violence, suicide, or accidents. And they are not right wing, and they're not biased. Because you know why? Gun control doesn't reduce violence. It doesn't. When you take guns out of the hands of all abiding citizens, all that happens is that, you know, people, that criminals can take advantage of law abiding citizens more. There was this town in Wichita, Kansas. There was Wichita. They passed a law saying that every person in Wichita, Kansas had to own a gun. A year later, violent crime reduced by 90%. Crime dropped by 90%. Why? Because if you're a criminal, you don't go where all the law-abiding citizens have guns. You're not going to rob and murder people or burglarize houses in Wichita, Kansas after you hear that every resident there is required to have a gun. You're like, I'm going to stay the fuck out of Wichita, Kansas because I don't want to get fucking shot. I'll go rob these other people over here and over here and over here. You know, if you're thinking like a criminal, right? If you're thinking like a criminal and you think about gun control, you're like, yeah, I want more gun control. I want more gun control because I don't want these motherfuckers having guns. I can get guns to the black market if they're made illegal. I'm a criminal. I don't give a fuck. I'll buy it on the streets. Super easy. There will always be gun runners from Mexico coming up. You know, just like that show, whatever. Anyway, I'm going off on a long tangent. Anyway, if you enjoy my political analysis, please subscribe. I'm uploading this to Rumble. I'm really hoping to pick it up on Rumble, and I think I'm going to change the name of this channel too. And yeah, I gotta separate my different types of. I know. I think I'll need a new YouTube channel specifically for political analyses and discussions, separate from my one about self-improvement and psychology and such. That's probably the best idea I can go with. Hopefully, this does well on Rumble. That's why I made it. So anyway, subscribe, comment below, join my Discord. Or just add me on Discord. I'll have a link below. If you want to talk to me, you want to help me make videos, you want to collaborate, hit me up.